Priyadashini. I'm from Delhi Forum and also here representing Delhi Solidarity Group. And this webinar is collectively organized by Delhi Solidarity Group, World Forum of Fisher People, and the Friends of the Earth India chapter. And as everybody knows, we are here trying to look further and also look at the shipwreck that happened in the coast, near the coast of Kerala and its impact, and also not seeing it as a one-off incident or something that is just, related to Kerala, but that we have seen such incidences before also. And this, at the time when we thought like coming around the time of the Earth Day and the Oceans Day, what does this mean? Like whether in terms of looking at the traffic in the ocean itself, and this happening just a month, not even a month since Vilnius opened. And these were some of the questions that were raised before. So keeping this incident as a starting point, we thought it would be good to have a broader discussion, bringing in multiple points of view, not only in the national, but also at the international level. So we have a great panel, and to moderate the session, we have Maju Varghese from the Friends of the Earth Asia Pacific Focal Point, who is International Solidarity Systems. And Maju has been an activist for decades, and many of you, for most of you, Maju is not a new name. He has been part of Yuva or the Narmada movement, and he has worked with the urban poor in Mumbai, and has worked in the Center for Financial Accountability for a very long time. And currently he is the coordinator of Partners of Justice Concern. And here he is representing the Friends of the Earth Asia Pacific. I give it over to Maju to introduce the rest of the speakers and also put this entire meeting in the context and facilitate it. Thank you, Maju.
Thank you, Priya. As we all know, this meeting is being organized as a collective effort from Delhi Forum, Delhi Solidarity Group, the Friends of Earth, and also the World Forum of Fisher People. Thank you for organizing such a webinar in a short time. And I think it's very contextual because it's the first major accident after the Vilnius port was inaugurated. This meeting, what we try to do is to hear from different people on both from the shipwreck, its impact on marine environment, the impact on the livelihood of the fisher people, the governance mechanisms which governs the traffic, ocean, the regulations, etc., which all have our impacts on all of us. So this webinar is bringing together a range of people, including affected fishing community leaders, scientists, experts, legal luminaries, and also people who work both at global and international level.
Good evening.
To start with, what do we know about this shipwreck? Is that this ship belongs to the Mediterranean Shipping Company, which is one of the largest shipping lines in the world, with more than 900 shipping vessels in their name. So they almost transport some 10% of the world's containers, and is said to be the largest of the containers, even overtaking Maersk and DSA, the big names in container transshipment. The ship, which is MSC Elsa 3, started its journey from Tuticorin docked at Vidignam, and it was en route to Kochi Vallarpadam terminal, where the shipwreck occurred around 14.5 nautical miles near a place called Tottapalli Spillway in the Alappuzha district of Kerala. Uh, uh, see, there was a distress call. The distress call was around early morning, and the ship sank on 25th at around 7:30 or so. So within a day, the ship had a tilt from 3 degree to 23 degree to 26, and the next morning, the ship sank. The ship, when it sank, contained about 640 containers, of which only very recently we got a kind of an information about what the cargo contained. Till now, it was only known that it had 13 containers of hazardous chemicals, 12 containers of calcium carbide, and very many containers consisting of cashew, wood, pulp, so on and so forth. Uh, the ship also contained around 450 MT of oil, much of which is said to have leaked in the first instance, and the rest is at the danger of being leaked at any point of time. The Indian oil contingency plan has termed it as a Tier 2 incident, which means a national and regional intervention is necessary at this regard. So, what are the major concerns? The major concerns with regard to this incident is one about the impact of this shipwreck on the marine environment. Particularly, it happens during the breeding season, which is the May and June, July, August, where the Kerala fishermen, particularly the artisanal and traditional fishermen, get the biggest of their catches, while there is a ban on trawling in the coast. So, what would be the impact on the environment and the livelihood of fisher people is a major question which is being pondered upon. The state government has declared this as a state uh, disaster, and has, because of the oil spill and because of the impact it would create on the livelihood of the fisher people, and have banned fishing 20 within 20 nautical miles of the place where the ship sank. Um, After the incident of ship sinking into the sea, the containers were washed ashore in many of the beaches along the Kerala coast and the Kanyakumari coast, set to travel towards the Gulf of Mannar. About 54 containers have till now have come to various coast, from Alleppey to Trivandrum, along the coast towards the southern side to Kanyakumari. Um, uh, the One major incident which was flagged was the nurdles or the plastic pellets, which got washed to the coast in huge quantities. There were broken sacks of plastic pellets, nurdles, as we understand them, both of the low density and high density variety, which is used for making plastic bags, carry bags, to that of the bigger density ones for other plastic products, which is raw materials for uh, other plastic manufacturing. So this has been some of the major issues, and we have, of course, with us to share also the Sri Lankan experience and the Indian experience, which earlier caused in the Mumbai coast, where a ship collided with another one, resulting in the huge oil spillage of more than 800 megatons of oil into the sea, and the impacts on the coast. We begin today's webinar looking into various aspects which is mentioned above, and we have various people who have been experts who worked on the issue and are knowledgeable, and we can engage. Each speaker will speak to us for about 10 to 12 minutes, and towards the end we will have the questions. So to start with, I would like to invite Dr. K.V. Thomas. Dr. K.V. Thomas was a senior scientist with the Center for Earth Science Studies in Kerala, and he has been part of very many studies, particularly also looking very critically at the Vizhinjam port and the associated impacts. After the port or in the process of the port construction, and its particular impact on both the marine life and on fishing communities. I will introduce the speakers as they speak. Let me call upon Dr. K.V. Thomas to have his presentation, to his thoughts about the disaster, its impact on marine life. Also, looking into to the issue of the ports, the shipping channel, and how that will affect the livelihood of the fishing communities. Incidentally, uh, this is the first major accident after the port was inaugurated. Dr. Kovi Thomas, over to you.
Thank you, Maju. In fact, as he mentioned, Maju mentioned, this is the first incident, wreckage, or accident after the inauguration of the Vizhinjam port. Maybe this may be a curtain raiser for what is coming in the future, because so few ships have already come here. And so this is a rather a big warning for the people, for the community. Definitely, this we have to take into with all its seriousness. When we look at this present ship wreckage, where this oil spill was there, and also visibly plastic pellets. Then there are many other items which Maju has told. As far as oil spillage is concerned, I think this is not a major spillage when we compare it to the Mumbai spillage or any other spillage. This is, in fact, as per the Coast Guard and Navy, only part of the oil and diesel and engine oil got leaked into the ocean. The other, they have capped it. These are information they have given, we get from them. And also, India has a good system to predict the oil spillage, the path of the spread of the oil spillage, and also well-recognized protocol to deal with it. And as per the Navy and Coast Guard, they have contained the oil spill, and the oil has been removed, and the spilled oil has been removed, and they have capped the leakage position. So that may not be a big issue as per the information we received from them. But the other thing which is visible, and there may be other pollution or leakage which is not visible, which has spread in the along the bottom of the sea, which may affect the benthic organisms right now and also in the future. But we are not aware, or we are not knowing about it, what type of leakage has happened, whether something has happened there. We are not sure. Then we are sure that a few of the containers have floated, and it has reached, some of them have reached the beach coast, and we are not sure anything is other than those tied to the ship, whether any containers are spread on the bottom of the sea. We are not sure. We are not having any information at all. Then the other things, some wood and other materials, those are there, that has reached shore, but we are not sure anything else is left in the sea or at the bottom. Regarding the pellets, we should understand the situation at that time. It is monsoon weather. Now that there is a big break in the monsoon, but at that time it was very strong high waves, strong winds, and strong currents towards south, both coastal currents and nearshore currents. So that was something which we did not have a system to predict it, to monitor it, to take action, to retrieve it, or to manage it. That is something which we should remember. We did not have an action plan or a modeling system or a protocol for dealing with such a serious situation. The ports, we know, they have an emergency contingency plan. Viljam Port also has an emergency, should have, I don't know whether they have that plan or not, but they were not active with that plan. Even the beach very close to them, that is just north of the Viljam Port and the existing fishing harbor, there is a beach, something like a pocket beach. A lot of material or these plastic pellets got trapped there, but the Viljam Port has done nothing on that pellets which was very close to them. And there may be some pellets in their harbor also. There are pellets in the surrounding beaches, which are in fact the notified port area of Viljam Port. Unfortunately, they have not done anything for that. And when we look at the way the spillage has occurred, very fast it came to the beach because of the monsoon conditions and strong winds. Very fast it has moved southwards, as Maju told, it has gone even beyond the Muttam headlands. Muttam headland and Tangasheri headlands, these are two primary major headlands which define the primary sediment cells, which we expect that there won't be any exchange between these cells. Even that primary cells and the headlands, which are the boundaries of the primary sediments, they were bypassed to reach Kanyakumari. So that situation is something which the authorities or the people who are responsible for managing this were not aware, or at least they were not knowing about it, the monsoon condition and how the system will behave during a monsoon time. And these pellets, um, these pellets, in fact, because of sea walls, you know that from Thottapalli to probably Kanyakumari, there are few sectors which doesn't have sea walls. So these containers which reached the shore, it was hitting on the sea walls, and before that some of them broke in the high breaker waves, some of them broke, and some of them hit the sea walls and broken, and these pellets were dispersed. So when we see where these pellets have gone, in many places it was spread on the beaches, in pocket beaches between headlands it got trapped, and in seawalls, along the seawalls, these pellets got trapped in between the rocks of the seawalls. Then a few of them, I won't say few, many, because of strong winds, these were taken on the landward part, and that have spread all around the vegetation, all around the settlement areas. And mind you, during this, this happened on 24th or 25th of May. 27th May was a springtide time. And the days previous to a few days previous to 27th and after the 27th, the water level will be high. That means sand will be deposited. During the monsoon time, the beach is taken away. Along with that, when the spring tide or high tide, sand will be deposited on the back shore, land part of the back shore. So whatever pellets which was spread there, most of them or many of them were buried under the sand. And because of the currents and waves, many of these pellets which got in, which was on the beach, is resuspended by the waves in the coastal waters. So it got distributed further to other places. So all these things shows that the pellets are the pellets are more or less, most of them are spread over there. We are not able to recover it in the near future.
Excuse me. Can I ask the moderator, who is manning the Zoom, to keep others in the mute, so that you know the talk could be heard by everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, and as far as these pellets, they are microplastics. Those very small, 1 to 5 mm size. So there is every possibility that seeing that not understanding these are pellets, fish might have swallowed it. And the plastics which are there on the landward side, settlement area, that many of them will get burned up because people used to burn the dry leaves and other things. It will go through that. And the other ones will be at some stage, this will reach our food chain as because these have to get decomposed to microplastics in the near future. It can be maybe 1 year or 2 year or 50 year or 100 year. Some of the recent studies have shown that it can happen within 2-3 years also. And the studies have shown that these microplastics, when it is in our blood, that we can get it through from our environment and also from the fish. This will increase the chances of stroke and heart attack nearly 4.5 times. A recent study has shown that. So the impact is more in the coming years rather than the present one. So we have to be prepared for that. And some of them, some of the pellets, it is more or less may not be able to recover it. And we can see that pocket beaches, including the one I told between the Viljam port and fishing harbor, there these are trapped and it will remain there. We have not seen that a massive effort. It requires a massive effort to recover even the available ones. We have not seen such a effort, and definitely this will affect all the living organisms, including the fishes, the benthic organisms. Finally, this will reach the bottom, and it will affect their life cycle, and finally it will reach us. So these are the situations I see with respect to this wreckage and the spillage of oil and the spillage of spread of this pellets. So it is a grave situation. The other thing, we are waiting for it. Maybe a big disaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas sir. Before we will take the questions at the end, but before that, let me pose one question to because you have worked also on the port and the Vizhinjam port. How safe is the shipping channel from Vizhinjam to Cochin? And will if a monsoon like this happens to sink a big ship like the Elsa ship? Is there something which the fisher people needs to be careful, and what are the demands which we can raise on that?
Yeah, one is that this has occurred some 27 kilometers off Thotapalli, 27 kilometers only. Though we say it is some from Cochin, it is away, but it has mostly happened within the not within our territorial waters, but just outside the territorial waters. So the first demand should be, the traffic should be at least beyond some 50 kilometers, where this artisanal and traditional fishermen are not active, because it will affect them most. So that should be one of the major demands. The other one is transparency. And that is not seen in this. After the shipwreck, the transparency was not there in none of the things. Even where the oil spillage is there and where it is contained, we are not knowing whether some has spilled over the containing, that area which they have contained. We are not sure. So these are not provided. The transparency is not there. Then the responsibility of the port. The Viljam port, that was the port of last port. They will be having all the details about these containers, and they should have an emergency response plan, at least for their port area. That port area is not that land area where the port is situated, but it has a wider area, broader area, containing, including the coastal waters, and also part of it mostly on the land part on the southern side. They did not react. This is something we should address. And probably the other thing is that they have to, I mean, as far as I am concerned, I will say that a mapping of the fisher communities' paths, the route through which they are going for their fishing activities. The paths, the normal path they take, and the area they are using for the fishing activities. That has to be mapped, and that the ships and the port should ask the ships to avoid that area. And if any ship is going through that, they and the fisher community should be informed a few days prior to it, and they should give the compensation for those lost days or lost fishing areas. That should be there. Then this accident, mostly it occurred since basically it was moving very close to the shore, 27 kilometers only. So that is something which should be avoided. Yeah, that is the major thing. And yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir. We have certain questions. We will take the questions towards the end. One question, let me deal with it and go that with whether we have the full ship's cargo manifest. Only yesterday, some of the data has come out. The High Court of Kerala has also asked full disclosure of the cargo manifest in terms of what essentially where the cargo which has been transported and its impact on if when it sinks. So we have with us Charles George. Charles George is a trade unionist. He is the state president of the Trade Union Center of India, and he has been the convener of the Fisheries Coordination Committee in Kerala. He has been a strong voice in raising traditional and artisanal fish workers' voices, and he has also been as part of his trade union activism, working with the port workers. So maybe Charles George, if you could speak about how this wreckage is causing its impact on the fishing community, and your comments. That would be great. Over to you.
First of all, I want to urge the government of Kerala to publish a white paper on the whole incident. I think this meeting should unanimously ask the government of Kerala to publish a white paper on the particular issue. Why I am asking these things? The government is consciously or unconsciously not covering all the issues. I will tell it about later. First, we must consider the issue that we are fighting against one of the major container operators in the world. Their name is MSC, Mediterranean Shipping Company. They have a dubious character and a dubious past also. They are connected with, in my knowledge, that this company is connected with a mafia dons of Serbian mafia dons. They have engaged in shipping of various opiums and other things from Latin America, from Colombia, Peru, Brazil, via America to Europe. They are the whole leaders of this mafia don are the whole dealers of these things. And America themselves confiscated 5 vessels of this company. In 2010 itself, they confiscated Carlotta company, which contains 3,000 pounds of opium. And in 2019 itself, they confiscated one huge vessel of this company. Its name is Guyana. And in 2015, they confiscated Orion. In 2020, they confiscated Desiree. And recently, they confiscated Avni. In various ships, the majority of the workers deployed in these vessels are from one place in Europe, and they are particularly eager to gather more money from their part. And this mafia don is collecting at least $26 billion every year. And some of the leaders were asked by 30 countries as their leader, and they are putting them into blacklist. And the company is also putting into the blacklist by American government. They are not proclaimed officially, but they are thinking about it. The Bloomberg and the literature in America, we got much about this company. And that recently, in the last year itself, the company violated the American shipping laws. So they were fined $63.3 million. That is the past history of this MSC. And you know also, you all of us know about the nature and conditions of Adani also. Adani has got 7 ports in India, as per the decision taken recently by the Indian government. That is blue economy. In the name of blue economy, 7 ports were given to Adani. One is in Jakar in Gujarat. Another is one is given to Adani in Bardwan area in Maharashtra, and in Karnataka one port is given to them, and in Kerala Vizhinjam, and in Tamil Nadu one, and in Orissa Suvarnarekha, and in Calcutta Tajpur. All these ports were given to Adani, and those who are engaged in shipping of these noxious things were also engaged with this company. Both of them are engaged in illegal activities. There is a company formed here. That is our own plight also. Nowadays, Kerala government is engaged in heavy campaign against drug trafficking and other things. They are picking every person, but they are helpless because Kerala government proclaimed that Adani is their partner, and the majority of the containers came here in Vizhinjam is that of MSC companies also. So government is hesitated to publish anything about it. That is the present condition. And I want to inform you that there are 3 lapses coming on the part of these things. The container, the MSC ship, Elsa, who is the owner of this company? The owner name is that of ER Schifffahrt. This is a German company. The owner of the vessel is that of EM Schifffahrt of Germany. And MSC is now proclaimed it, pretend to be it as their own company. Okay. They have only 500 vessels of their own. And another companies are there taking into as loan issue. And what happened to these things? Every time when a container entered in the ship, the container will be inspected by the customs department. The company will provide them import general manifest. That is the name taken by them. Import general manifest is given to the authority. That means customs authority. And the bill of entry is the name by importer. When customs department got these 2 documents, they will clear it. And after the clearance of this, they will send the vessel to Cochin. And even the DP World of Vallarpadan knows every details of this thing. And the company also knows every details of this thing. And the Kerala government, it is very easy for them to get the documents. But they are till this day, even after Cochin High Court of Kerala entered into the issue and asked the customs to reveal the things, then only after 15 days they are revealing these things. This is the one aspect. And the second aspect, that is that means government of Kerala is nothing to do with this Adani port and MSC and their customs. Second aspect we have to consider is that in our area, that means in Vallarpada, I am working in Vallarpada as a convener of trade union movement there. In Vallarpada, there is a talk about the ship merchants that this is their last journey. This is their last trip of this vessel. And after this vessel will be given to Kappal Poli, means it will be given to shipbreaking unit. And after this, from next week onwards, they will deploy a new vessel. These are talks in Cochin port. Then why this vessel sink? I think it is a conscious effort. in every vessel which is started from a port will be examined by MMD. That means Mercantile Marine Department. The Mercantile Marine Department will inspect the vessel, and their surveyors will inspect the vessel, and they will given them the clearance certificate. Whether they communicate the clearance certificate from MMD, this question till day is unanswered. Comrades, this question till day is unanswered. What is the fate of our vessel is that from the very start itself, the vessel is sliding to a side. From the start, journey started from Birmingham itself, the vessel is sliding to a side. And when the MMD check these things, there is a name. That means that name is that of ballast. Ballast means balancing the weight. If there is so much weight in the upper layer, then there will be more water to be pumped into the underwater blocks. There are so many blocks. There are compartments in the vessel. If one leakage is happened, then nothing will be happen to the vessel. That is why we are talking that the vessel is consciously drunken down. So when the balance is correct, the vessel will be gone. And the vessel, every vessel, all over the world, whether it is Liberian, Bahamas, or in Panama, named, all the vessels are built for the purpose of voyaging through Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean Sea is peculiar for its tide, or its tide. It has at least 15 meter height. It has at least 15 meter height. So nothing, they are blaming about our bad weather. No bad weather affect this type of vessels. So that is why we are talking about this sinking down of this vessel. And when the vessel reached the area of our area, what area? Area of after Kollam, within 14.6 nautical meters, that means around 27 kilometers away, they sank to a side. Within 12 hours, this vessel sink down. That will not happen. And we know that in 2021, there is a happening in Sri Lankan port. That means in Colombo port. At that time, the vessel Express Pearl sunk down after so many days. There, it is burned down. But what has happened here? The vessel sank down within 12 hours. That should be inquired. And why the MMD is not given the certificate to Kerala government? So government is not asking them the certificate because they are not preparing to make any problem to Adani and any problem to MSC. That is the problem we are also facing. And third aspect is that the distance from the port, that is Thottapalli. Thottapalli has a peculiar harbor there also. Around 6,000 to 1,01,000 people are working daily there. And about the route of the vessel, in 2020, Shipping Ministry published a note to us and given to us. At that time, we complained to the Fishery Minister, Vaitsukuti Amma, about the ship route. At that time, myself raised the issue that if the vessel go through this way, that means 50 kilometers away through this way, it will affect our Koilon Bank, madam. At that time, Vaitsukuti Amma and other viewers sit together and discuss the issue and given a letter to the Shipping Ministry that the vessels from Birmingham to northern area should be taken at least 50 nautical miles. That means 20 to 92 kilometers away from the coast. Why we ask this? It is because of our Koilon Bank. Koilon Bank is peculiar for all of you know about the peculiarity of Koilon Bank. It is one of the most productive fishing area in the world. So there are 1,000 fishing boats are operating there. 600 fiber vessel canoes are operating there. 100 inboard vessels are operating there. So it is the most populous area. So we humbly ask the ministry to go out of this area. That means beyond 92 kilometers. But the ministry did not heed attention to us. And at that time, on 2020, August 1st, we conducted a march against this issue to Cochin port. We conducted a dharna there. But no one heed attention to us. So that is what happened here. Third issue. And I think what happened to fishery sector. This area is known as one of the most prosperous area in the world, not in Kerala, because in the whole world, 90% of mackerel we are consuming in the world is coming from this area. This area is known as MBUR, Malabar Upwelling region. It starts from Ratnagiri to Kanyakumari. This incident is happened in this MUR, sir. Second aspect is that this issue has happened in near the Koilon Bank, sir. Third issue is that this issue has happened in the nearby area of Chagara areas. We are not known anything about the issue of Chagara. So it will affect our fishing activity itself. And the people of this area, that means this Tottapalli area, their harbor will affect drastically. What is the response of government? In 29 May.
Charles, can you conclude with some of the major demands which
okay. I am finishing.
Yeah.
In 29 itself.
Focusing on some of the major demands which you are raising.
Okay. In 29 itself, the Chief Minister declared that 1,000 rupees will be given as a ransom to as a compensation to fishermen. This will not be sufficient, sir. At that time of our meeting in Cochin, we conducted the Kerala government has enough due right to arrest the captain or detain the vessel. That is what happened in Enrique Lake itself. At that time, I engaged in a case engrossed in the court. At that time, captain was detained. Why the captain was freed? They were treated as Aditi Devo Bhava. That is the approach of government. Why they were released? And we are now begging for the mercy of embassy. So there are enough scope for our to take a case. Till this day, a case is not registered. FIR is not registered. That is a shameful thing, sir. And our demand is that we have no demand at all. As Dr. K.V. Thomas clearly stated that our government officials is deteriorating the issue itself. The very day itself that our disaster management authority, Shekhar Kuriakos, published a document, a statement that there are 25 vessels, 25 containers are containing harmful materials in it. 12 hazardous issues. 12 vessels have calcium carbide, and 18 containers contains hazardous materials. Nothing there is there. Only 13 containers. That means 12 containers and one carbon. And that one is that of rubber compounds are there. There is nothing is to be afraiding. They themselves gave the alarming situation that we are not giving the. And the major issue is that there are 73 Kali containers are there. About it, 54 containers are nearing the shore area. There is no problem. But the main problem is that 43 containers contains plastic nardils or pellets. That will be a problem. In Sri Lanka itself, in Colombo itself, there are 1,600 tons of plastic nardils spread there. And 600 turtles were died. And in some fishes' stomach, we find these nardils. And some experts told me that fish will not consume these nardils. That is not correct, sir. So our asanga in English, asanga, our concern about this nardils to be cleared first. Second is that everybody will be given compensation. That is not at all sufficient. Sufficient compensation not given. And the government should publish every detail about the incident to the public. It is not only the problem of fish workers. Fish workers have so many problems. The last 20 years, we are witnessing the deteriorated effect of sardine. sardine is coming away from our coast. And last 2 years, it will come back. It is coming back. But in the last 2 years, we got only this type of vessel. And recently, the sardine is bigger one. This time this incident is happened. So our catch will be affected. And this will be our problem to be addressed. Okay, sir.
I think that is the major concern of how the shipwreck will cause the disruption of the fishing activity itself, given the breeding season. And thank you for bringing in so many points, including the dubious character of this ship, the age of the ship. It was built in 97, it's 28 years old. So you've touched on very many issues, including the shipping channel and how it has to be far from the fishing areas. The shipping channel has to be far from the shipping areas, which Dr. Kevin Thomas also raised in his presentation. And of course, regarding your doubts about the ship and its sinking itself and what goes behind. We can take questions towards the end, but let us also now hear from Janet Chechi. Janet Cletus is the District Secretary of the Kerala Swatantra Matsutholazhali Federation, or the District Independent Fish Workers Federation. Certain containers also washed near to Janet Chechi's house, and the pellets are spread across in that coast itself. Janet Cletus is the president of the Tiradesha Mahila Vedi, which is the Women's Federation of Fish Workers, and has been active in the fisher unions for the past 3 to 4 decades. Have endured many struggles and have arrest and fights for the rights of the fishing community. Janet Chechi will speak in Malayalam, but I think we'll have an English translation. So I invite Janet Chechi to come and speak next.
Maju?
Yes. പറഞ്ഞോളൂ ചേച്ചിയാണ് ഇൻവൈറ്റ് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത്. Priya, how is the translation going to happen? People should move to the English channel, or is it happening here?
It's happening in the Malayalam channel only.
So everybody will be able to hear the English translation here in this main page.
In the Malayalam channel.
So should people go to the Malayalam channel?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you give the instructions?
Yeah, okay, we'll just type it down.
Yeah, so those who do not understand Malayalam, kindly click Malayalam in the interpretation. It's right, it should be in the bottom right corner.
In the bottom right corner, there will be an icon of a globe which says interpretation. Please click on that, and to hear it in English, you have to click Malayalam. Right?
Yes, Maju, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just left to the more if you see there is Malayalam, or you can click on the more and then click interpretation and then go to click on Malayalam. Yes, as Lara has put it down. Yeah. Thank you, Lara.
Yeah. Janet Chechi, തുടങ്ങാമോ?
Okay, തുടങ്ങട്ടെ.
പറഞ്ഞോളൂ.
സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ, ഞാൻ ജാനറ്റ് ക്ലീറ്റസ്, തീരദേശ മഹിളാവേദി പ്രസിഡന്റും കേരള സ്വതന്ത്ര മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി ഫെഡറേഷന്റെ തിരുവനന്തപുരം ജില്ലാ സെക്രട്ടറിയുമാണ്. കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, പറഞ്ഞോളൂ.
എന്തോ കേൾക്കുന്നോ?
കേൾക്കാം ചേച്ചി പറഞ്ഞോളൂ.
ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്നത് വളരെ വിഷമത്തോടു കൂടിയാണ്. നമ്മൾ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുന്ന വിഷയമായ MSC എൽസ3 എന്ന കപ്പൽ മുങ്ങിയതിനു ശേഷം തീരത്തടിഞ്ഞുകൂടിയ പ്ലാസ്റ്റിക് പെല്ലറ്റുകളും കശുവണ്ടിയും തടിയും മറ്റു ഓയിലും രാസപദാർത്ഥങ്ങളും കടലോര മക്കളുടെ ജീവിതത്തെ തകിടം മറിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. കടലിന്റെ മക്കൾ വളരെ പ്രതീക്ഷയോടെ കാത്തിരുന്ന മൺസൂൺ സീസണിൽ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് കിട്ടേണ്ട മത്സ്യസമ്പത്ത് പലതും ഇന്ന് അപ്രത്യക്ഷമായിരിക്കുകയാണ്. എൻ്റെ വീട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് നോക്കിയാൽ കടൽ കാണാം. കടലിനോട് ചേർന്ന് 20 മീറ്റർ ദൂരത്തിലാണ് എൻ്റെ വീട്. ഞാനും ഗ്രൗണ്ട് വാട്ടറാണ് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത്. ഈ പ്ലാസ്റ്റിക് പെല്ലറ്റുകളെല്ലാം എൻ്റെ മുറ്റത്ത് നിന്നാൽ എനിക്ക് കാണാൻ സാധിക്കും. ഞാൻ അതിൻ്റെ പുറത്തുകൂടിയാണ് ചവിട്ടി നടക്കുന്നതും. അത് എനിക്ക് വളരെ വേദനയോടുകൂടി ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളോട് പറയുകയാണ്. തിരുവനന്തപുരം ജില്ലയിൽ മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി കുടുംബത്തിൽ നിന്നും സ്ത്രീകളാണ് കൂടുതലും മത്സ്യവിപണനം നടത്തുന്നത്. ഞാൻ ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ള മത്സ്യ കച്ചവടക്കാർ തീരത്ത് നിന്നും മത്സ്യം വാങ്ങി മാർക്കറ്റുകളിൽ പോകുമ്പോൾ പൊതുസമൂഹം ഇന്ന് മത്സ്യം വാങ്ങുന്നില്ല. അവർ ഭയപ്പെടുന്നു. കാരണം ഒരുപാട് രാസപദാർത്ഥങ്ങളൊക്കെ കടലിൽ പടർന്നു കിടക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ് മീന് കഴിച്ചാൽ അവർക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും സംഭവിക്കും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാണ് ആരും മത്സ്യം വാങ്ങാത്തത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ കാരണങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ട് ഞങ്ങൾ 60 രൂപയ്ക്ക് ഒരയില വാങ്ങിച്ചു മാർക്കറ്റുകളിൽ പോകുമ്പോൾ 25 രൂപ പോലും വിറ്റ് തീർക്കുവാൻ പറ്റാത്ത അവസ്ഥയിലാണ് നിലനിൽക്കുന്നത്. അവസ്ഥയാണ് ഇന്നും. ഈ കാരണങ്ങളാൽ മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി സ്ത്രീകൾ കടക്കണിയിലാണ്. കൂടുതൽ സമയവും സ്ത്രീകൾ മാർക്കറ്റുകളിൽ ചെലവഴിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. കാരണം മീൻ വാങ്ങാൻ ആരും വരുന്നില്ല. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങള് രാവിലെ പോയിട്ട് ഉച്ചയ്ക്ക് വരേണ്ട ഞങ്ങള് രാത്രിയാകുമ്പോഴാണ് തിരിച്ചെത്തുന്നത്. കൊണ്ടുപോകുന്ന മീൻ വിറ്റ് തീർത്തിട്ടല്ലേ വരാൻ പറ്റത്തുള്ളൂ. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞങ്ങള് ഒരുപാട് സമയം മാർക്കറ്റുകളിൽ ചെലവഴിക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ആരോഗ്യത്തിന് തന്നെ സാരമായി ബാധിക്കുന്നു. MS എൽസ 3 നിന്നും വന്ന ഈ പ്ലാസ്റ്റിക് പെലറ്റുകൾ സമയോചിതമായി കേന്ദ്ര സംസ്ഥാന സർക്കാർ ഇടപെട്ട് മാറ്റാത്തത് മൂലം പെലറ്റുകൾ മണ്ണിനടിയിൽ പോയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ കുടിവെള്ളത്തിൽ കലർന്ന് പല പല രോഗങ്ങളും ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നു. അതൊരു കാരണമാകുന്നു. പല പല രോഗങ്ങൾ വരെ ഈ വെള്ളത്തിൽ നിന്നും ഞങ്ങൾക്കുണ്ടാകുന്നു. ഇവർ ഇപ്പോൾ പുറത്തുവിട്ടിരിക്കുന്ന കണക്കനുസരിച്ച് കപ്പലിനകത്തുണ്ടായിരുന്ന രാസപദാർത്ഥങ്ങൾ വെള്ളത്തിൽ പടർന്ന് ശരീരത്തിലെ ത്വക്കിനെയും ശ്വാസകോശത്തെയും വരെ ബാധിക്കുമെന്ന് ആരോഗ്യവകുപ്പ് പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഒരു അമ്മയായ ഞാൻ ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഓർത്ത് ഭയപ്പെടുകയാണ്. എൻ്റെ മുൻ തലമുറകൾ ഞങ്ങൾക്കായി കരുതി വെച്ചിരുന്ന കടലും തീരവും പ്രകൃതിയെ സംരക്ഷിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുള്ള ഇടപെടൽ വരുന്ന തലമുറയ്ക്ക് കൈമാറുവാൻ പറ്റാത്ത വേദനയാണ് എനിക്കിപ്പോൾ. ഇത് പറയുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ അടുത്ത തലമുറയുടെ ഒരു കാര്യം പറയുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് അടുത്ത തലമുറയ്ക്ക് കൈമാറാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല എന്നോർത്ത് ഞാൻ വിഷമിക്കുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് 2 വരി പാട്ടെനിക്ക് ഓർമ്മ വരുന്നു. അത് ഞാനിവിടെ പാടുകയാണ്. ഇനി വരുന്നൊരു തലമുറയ്ക്ക് ഇവിടെ വാസം സാധ്യമോ? ഇനി വരുന്നൊരു തലമുറയ്ക്ക് ഇവിടെ വാസം സാധ്യമോ? മലിനമായ ജലാശയം അതിമലിനമായൊരു ഭൂമിയും, മലിനമായ ജലാശയം അതിമലിനമായൊരു ഭൂമിയും, ഇനി വരുന്നൊരു തലമുറയ്ക്കു ഇവിടെ വാസം സാധ്യമോ? ഇവിടെ വാസം സാധ്യമോ? കേന്ദ്ര സർക്കാർ കൊണ്ടുവരുന്ന നീല സാമ്പത്തിക നയത്തിന്റെ ഭാഗമായി കടലും തീരവും കുത്തകൾ മുതലാളിമാർക്ക് തീരെഴുതിയതിനെതിരായി മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി സ്ത്രീകൾ നടത്തിയ പോരാട്ടങ്ങൾ വളരെ വലുതാണെന്ന് ഞാനിപ്പോൾ കരുതുന്നു. MSc എൽസ 3 നിർമ്മാണത്തിനായി ചില ചേലുകേടുകളൊക്കെ ഉണ്ട്. ചേലുകേടെന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മനസ്സിലാകത്തില്ല. പക്ഷെ മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളിയായ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് അത് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റും. ഞാൻ അത് മനസ്സിലാക്കി തരാം. ഒരു വള്ളം പണിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിന് അല്പം ചരിവുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് ചേലുകേടെന്നാണ് മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളികൾ പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളികൾക്ക് ആ ചേലിന്റെ ആ കാര്യം വ്യക്തമായിട്ട് കാണും. അപ്പോൾ അത് കടലിൽ ആ വള്ളം കടലിൽ കമഴ്ന്നു പോകും. എൻ്റെ അച്ഛന് വള്ളവും വലയൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഞാന് വള്ളവും വലയും കടലിൽ ഇറക്കുമ്പോൾ അത് ഒരു വശം അങ്ങ് ചരിഞ്ഞു പോവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അത് ചേലുകേടെന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അത് നമ്മൾ പുതുക്കി വേറെ പണിയേണ്ടി വരും. അത് തന്നെയാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഈ ഷിപ്പിനും ഉണ്ടായത്. അത് ഈ തുറമുഖത്തിനകത്ത് ഷിപ്പിന് അത് തന്നെയാണ് ഉണ്ടായത്. 1997 ഈ ഷിപ്പ് പുറത്തിറങ്ങിയത്. 29 വർഷമായി ഈ ഷിപ്പ് പുറത്തിറങ്ങിയിട്ടും. ഇത് സാധാരണ ഒരു ഷിപ്പിനുള്ള കാലാവധി 20 വർഷമാണ്. പക്ഷെ ഇത് 29 വർഷമായി. ഇത് നമ്മൾ പരിശോധിക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. ഈ 9 വർഷം കൂടുതലാകുമ്പോൾ ഈ ഷിപ്പിന്റെ കാലാവധി തീർന്നതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അത് ശരിക്കും അത് പരിശോധിക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. ഒരു ഷിപ്പ് തുറമുഖത്തിനകത്ത് കയറുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ ആദ്യം പരിശോധിക്കേണ്ടത് ഫിറ്റ്നസ് സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് ഹാജരാക്കിയോ എന്നതാണ്. ഇത് സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് അദാനി പോർട്ടിൽ ഹാജരാക്കിയില്ല എന്നാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ അറിയുന്നത്. ഈ കണ്ടെയ്നറുകൾ സ്കാൻ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതാണ്. ഈ സ്കാനിംഗ് റിപ്പോർട്ട് പുറത്തുവിട്ടില്ല. ഇത് ഗുരുതരമായ ഒരു വീഴ്ചയാണ്. MSC എൽസ 3 അമേരിക്കൻ രാജ്യത്ത് വലിയ ഒരു മയക്കുമരുന്ന് വ്യാപാരം നടത്തി പിടിക്കപ്പെട്ടതായി അറിയുന്നു. ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ മയക്കുമരുന്നും കള്ളക്കടത്തും നടത്തിയിരിക്കുന്നത് ഗുജറാത്തിലെ അദാനിയുടെ മുണ്ട്ര പോർട്ടിലാണ്. ആ കള്ളക്കടത്തിൽ MSC എൽസ 3 ഉണ്ടെന്ന് കേന്ദ്ര സർക്കാർ അന്വേഷണം നടത്തണം. മാധ്യമങ്ങൾ ഈ കാര്യം റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യണം. ഇവിടെ മാധ്യമങ്ങൾ വ്യവസായ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിലാണ് പണിയെടുക്കുന്നത്. ഉദാഹരണമായി കോവിഡ് കാലത്ത് അതിഭീകരമായ രോഗത്തെ അതിജീവിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പാടുപെടുമ്പോൾ, നമ്മുടെ ജനങ്ങൾ പാടുപെടുമ്പോൾ പ്രധാനമന്ത്രി ജനങ്ങൾക്ക് നൽകിയ സന്ദേശത്തിൽ പറയുന്നു, 2 പാത്രങ്ങൾ തമ്മിൽ എടുത്ത് കൊട്ടണം. 2 പാത്രങ്ങൾ തമ്മിൽ കൊട്ടുമ്പോൾ കോവിഡ് പോകുമെന്നാണ് നമ്മുടെ മന്ത്രി ജനങ്ങൾക്ക് നൽകിയ സന്ദേശം. അത്രയും തെറ്റായ പ്രചരണങ്ങളാണ് മാധ്യമങ്ങൾ നടത്തിയത്. ഒരു മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി സ്ത്രീ എന്ന നിലയിൽ എനിക്ക് പറയുവാനുള്ളത് 2 നിർദ്ദേശങ്ങളാണ്. MSC എൽസ 3 ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന രാസപദാർത്ഥങ്ങൾ മൂലം മത്സ്യസമ്പത്തിനും തീരദേശ ജനതയ്ക്കും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ദുരന്തങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ച് ഉണ്ടാകാനിരിക്കുന്ന ദുരന്തങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചും പഠനം നടത്തുകയും അത് പരിഹാരം കാണാൻ വേണ്ട നടപടികൾ ലോക ആരോഗ്യ സംഘടനകളുമായി ചർച്ച ചെയ്ത് നടപടി സ്വീകരിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യണം. നൂറ്റാണ്ടുകളായി മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളികൾ കാത്തു സൂക്ഷിച്ചിരുന്ന കടലും തീരവും മത്സ്യസമ്പത്തും വ്യവസായ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിന്റെ പേരിൽ കടന്നുപോയ MSC എൽസ 3 മുങ്ങിയത് മൂലം അതിലുണ്ടായിരുന്ന രാസപദാർത്ഥങ്ങൾ ഞങ്ങൾ കാത്തു സൂക്ഷിച്ച തീരവും കടലും മലിനമാക്കി മത്സ്യസമ്പത്ത് ഇല്ലാതാക്കി. ഈ മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി സമൂഹത്തിന് വലിയ നഷ്ടം വരുത്തിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇത് അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര കോടതികളിൽ ചോദ്യം ചെയ്യണം. മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി സ്ത്രീകൾ ഇത്തരം നിയമ പോരാട്ടത്തിന് തയ്യാറാണ്. ജനിച്ച മണ്ണിൽ ജീവിക്കുവാനുള്ള അവകാശങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടിയുള്ള പോരാട്ടത്തില് നമുക്ക് ഒരുമിച്ച് കൈകോർക്കാം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ നിർത്തുന്നു.
Thank you, Janatiyaji. She portrayed the pain of fisherwoman who is affected by the sinking, not just in terms of the the beach and the washing ashore of pellets, but also in terms of the marine diversity itself. As we said, we can take the questions earlier. The impact on the fishing women was quite clear, because while there would be compensation for people who are, as chargers said, very inadequate, but there's a compensation being announced. But the fisher women who goes and sells fish, what kind of compensation is available when their livelihoods are being affected? That's also a question which comes into the picture right now. We now go to the next speaker. Our next speaker is Lara Jesani from the National Secretary of the People's Union for Civil Liberties. She has been working with environmental groups and on the intersection of environment, human rights for for a few decades now. We'll also hear from Lara about the major coalition which happened in Navi Mumbai, where an MSC ship was involved, and the massive spillage which happened in the Bombay coast, and how that was addressed, and what is the learnings we can draw from there. What are the regulatory and legal mechanisms which is available to the people, and particularly to the fishing communities, in the context of shipwreck, destruction of marine ecology, and impact on livelihood. Over to you, Lara.
Thank you, Maju, for having me here. And it's really painful to hear the about the destruction that has taken place because of this recent shipwreck. Unfortunately, this is not the first incident, and from what we're seeing, it's not going to be the last. So it's very important that you all are holding this discussion and also looking into the kind of trends that we are seeing in dealing with dealing with such incidents of disaster. Now, this is a very the whole question of how disasters are being dealt with by itself, and the faulty implementation of the laws that are there is across the board. We are seeing it in all disasters. But when we look at oil spills as a specific kind of disaster, or the shipwrecks as a specific kind of disaster, I think some really important, issues that, we have to look at, and some of them have already been discussed in great detail. I thank the earlier speakers. It's been a great learning to know so much about what has happened there and the way in which the state has responded and what the demands are from the community. But some of the major things that we have to look at when we look at oil spillage as well as, shipwrecks as a disaster is the enormity of the damage that they cause. Now, the sinking of the MSC Elsa 3 at Kochi has resulted in spillage of hazardous materials, but most importantly of the plastic pellets or nurdles, which earlier speakers also spoke about, which is a major contributor to ocean pollution. And when we look at it, I mean, it is also one of the major components of, manufacturing material, whether it is electronics or different kinds of parts are made out of these plastic nurdles, and these plastic nurdles are used because they're very easy to transport. And if we look at the kind of policy regulations around it, or the implementation of the policy regulations around such incidents, both in terms of preventing such incidents and the neglect and the failure of the monitoring system, which actually results in such incident. And second, in terms of, responding to such situations and ensuring remedial measures, using technology, using, a very quick response to such incidents is very poor. So we're looking at India, for instance, which is a major importer, right, of, oil as well. So when we talk of oil spillages, India needs to be extremely careful because its waters are being used in order to transport huge amounts of oil in containers.
Lara, there is a request from the interpreters in the chat box to slow down for them to translate.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Please cut.
Yeah. So if we look at, the manner in which the laws are being executed or implemented, as far as, oil spillages are concerned, there is a huge amount of lacuna that we see, both in terms of the non-implementation that we're seeing, but even the gaps in policy. And India particularly needs to really respond to that lacuna because, like I said, we are a major importer. Our waters are being used for transport of very hazardous materials. We also are, dealing with a more lackadaisical regulatory framework. And we do not have sufficient, according to me as a lawyer, when I look at the laws which govern this area of, pollution control, we do not have sufficient regulatory mechanisms to respond to such a crisis. Now, let's talk about, you had asked me specifically to talk about the Bombay experience. And I think that's very, important to look at it because it was possibly the biggest oil spillage in Indian history. And it happened on the Mumbai coast. Now, this is, of course, very well known, and I think many people here would also know about it. When MSC Chitra container collided with the bulk carrier MV Khaleejia close to the JNPT, which is the Jawaharlal Nehru port, on 7th of August 2010. Now, the container contained more than 2,600 tons of oil, about 300 tons of diesel, about 80 tons of lubricating oil, and 1,219 containers which contained hazardous materials. As soon as the collision took place, 400 containers fell into the sea on account of the collision. And thousands of tons of heavy fuel oil was released. Now, this oil spill was actually, had expanded to 25 kilometers, and it affected 110 kilometers of the coastline, which was impacted. This happened way back in 2010. And even when I look down at the, status reports and all, the actual extent of the damage has been quite underplayed. The damage was extensive. The coastline also that was impacted had like 70% of mangrove and mudflat areas where this was released, which are the actual, which are actually the coastal barriers for Bombay. As you know, Bombay is also one of the 10 hotspot cities facing, huge sea level rise. Now, at this point of time, when we look at the marine ecology that was destroyed, or we look at the, ramifications on the environment, it has not even been clearly quantified. One of the biggest issues that happened because of this was that there was a release of about 4.2 tons of aluminium phosphate. And now this aluminium phosphate, or these kinds of phosphates, which are, chemicals, when they come in contact with the water, they result in toxic gas emissions. And these gases are, toxic to marine life, to avian life, as well as to human life. As we know, when oil spills take place, or when there is a spillage of hazardous chemicals, there is an impact which takes place on the marine life. There is also an impact which takes place on the birds because, they end up, ingesting it. And because of that, they have a failure, an internal failure because of the oil, they cannot digest food. And then you also have the impact on human life, especially those people, communities which are living on the coast, those who depend on the coast for their livelihoods. And this also enters the, food system. Due to you cannot do fishing over there. It disturbs the entire marine life over there, and also the communities which are dependent on that marine life. So it's a really big issue as soon as it takes place. But then there are also the long-term impacts that we have to look into. We know that there have been lakhs of shipwrecks that have taken place across the world, and these shipwrecks continue to pollute the ocean. Look at what happened in the case of MSC Chitra itself, right? 8 months after the collision took place. So I think the collision took place in August 2010. And I think in April 2011, finally, the ship was sunk by the owners. The owners were Panama owners. A similar thing we have spoken about. The other speakers also spoke about how the Mediterranean Panama owners, all of them, the role that they play in this. So it was sunk by the Panama owners, about 300 nautical miles of the Bombay coast. It took a lot of time for India to also negotiate with the host country, from what I understand. And at the time of submersion, there were 500 cargo containers with hazardous chemicals, lubricating oils, and other fuels in the ship, which have actually entered the ocean. There was no other way that the owners found, according to them, to deal with the situation. Of course, there is a huge claim that there was a lot of technology used in order to neutralize some of the hazardous chemicals, to contain the oil spillage over the course of days. But we also know that because of the presence of aluminium phosphate, they could not really, which was washed off the shore. That's how they came to know that there is aluminium phosphate as one of the hazardous chemicals. they had to stall a lot of the operations because the toxic gas which would come out due to its contact with the water would lead to, loss of life. So there is so much non-transparency, and this was also mentioned by some of the earlier speakers. There are, of course, reports of the MPCB talking about their monitoring operations. NEERI had basically done an assessment and found that, the actual environmental damage was about 500 crores. Of course, I don't think the MPCB itself had initially asked only for 2 crores and 2.5 crores, and then later on the Indian Coast Guard had asked for 2.5 crores and 3 crores. So none of this actually came through. But apart from that, at that point of time, the criminal provisions under the Environment Protection Act were still intact. We are seeing right now that most of the penal provisions for environmental violations are actually being removed from the law. There's a huge amount of dilution that is taking place, and the focus has been on civil liability. However, in this case, because the Environment Protection Act was applied, there was an FIR filed. Charges were framed against the captain of the ship for neglect. One of the reasons, for the collision was that they had not followed several of the regulations that govern. And I'll come to that just next. But he was acquitted of all the charges, by 2018 or 2019. So there's absolutely no accountability, right? What is the accountability? What is the damage? What is the compensation? How have you quantified the environmental damage? How have you quantified the damage and losses that the communities have faced? Okay, what is the long-term impact? What are the steps to take care of the long-term impact, right? None of these things are looked into. And because monitoring stops at some point of time, once the heat of the incident goes away, like even, in any kind of incident, probably even in this incident, after some time, if the heat of the incident goes away, if we don't put the pressure, like y'all are putting right now, like all of us have come together and we are discussing this and looking at how can we change the scenario. If we don't put in the pressure, then after a point of time, the monitoring also stops. And we're not effectively assessing the damage that has taken place to the environment. This is a very crucial thing. What is it resulting in? This is not the first incident that had taken place in Bombay. Let's come to that, right? Between 2000 and it also wasn't the last. It's not like there were learnings from this which improved the system. Okay, maybe not of such a great level, like we saw earlier how Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984 had resulted in a lot of changes in policy, etc. But it was not the first. It was one of the first major incidents. But after that, we have seen so many other incidents happen. In this case, after the MSC Chitra incident also, there have been at least 10 incidents of either neglect, accident or collision that have happened. Even earlier this year, we saw, there was a jetty, an Alibag jetty, which there was a collision which had taken place near Elephanta Caves. So you have had these kinds of incidents that have been happening. Even in Bombay, in the same year, in 2010, just before this incident, the ICGS Vivek had sank due to collision. Just after this incident, if we see the MV Pavit, which had been abandoned, thinking that, it has sunk. It was carrying 30 tons of oil on board, suddenly resurfaced on the Juhu-Versova coast in Bombay. So this level of neglect, this lack of monitoring, is resulting in a situation where we are not preventing or mitigating such kind of disasters either. So at all of these levels, if we look at this as a test case, it actually tells us so much about the manner in which, we are dealing with such kinds of incidents. Another, point that I wanted to make is that, we are seeing, the way in which these ports are coming up. And these ports, the earlier speakers have also spoken about the way in which these ports are coming up. There have been massive amount of, coasts which are being destroyed right now in order to build new ports. We're seeing this happen in Karnataka. The Hunavar port is a test example, which is affecting fisher folks. That it's coming up with these new ports. These ports will be transporting either, either coal, or they're transporting hazardous materials or oil, and there are huge container ships that are coming from there. There is this entire thing of a national oil spill disaster contingency plan that is being used by some of the states which have come up with it. There have also been during the expansion of ports and all these are being looked into. But we really have to minutely look into both the contents of this, oil spill disaster contingency plan and also the implementation. This is a very important area of concern. When we look at the Disaster Management Act, okay, it gives us a framework, or even otherwise, if we look at the international frameworks, for instance, there is an international convention on oil pollution preparedness, response, and cooperation of 1995, which requires, states to put in measures to deal with such kind of pollution incidents and also to cooperate internationally in such kind of pollution incidents. So you have to have domestic legislation as well as you should have a quick cooperation with the other nations in order to deal with such kind of incidents. Now, do we have sufficient legislation today, a policy governing this area? If you look at the Disaster Management Act, it gives us that framework of preparedness, of response, of relief, of remedial measures. Today, we have seen compensation has been diluted and left us only with the provision of relief, right? There has been, there have been so many appeals to include different kinds of disasters very directly in the Disaster Management Act so that they can get, full coverage under the Act. But
Lara, could you also conclude with some of the things, because we have to have some discussion on it.
I understand. So I think some of these areas we need to look into. I don't think we have enough time to look into all of the laws that we want to, improve upon. But the Merchant Shipping Act is one of the central laws that has been used, which provides for both, civil liability, compensation, and all of these. Looking into those provisions, because many of the provisions that were put into there were some amendments which were brought in over there, also came from some of these conventions. We also have the International Convention, which is known as the SOLAS Convention, the Safety of Life at Sea Convention. Again, this is a important convention for us to see if those are being incorporated into our domestic legislations. Of course, I have my views on this, but I think that it's not just about policy. We also have to look at whether the policy is being implemented, whether there is political will, and if there is no political will, we need to build the public pressure. A very important point had been made. We need a proper investigation on this. We need to, know whether steps are being taken in order to mitigate and prevent such disasters. Third is relief, compensation for the communities. Okay, assessment, monitoring, compliance, and we have to have accountability. So some of these major demands must come in. I would like to, hear more discussions, and I would also, input in any of these demands that we are planning to formulate. Thank you, and sorry for overshooting my time.
Thanks, Lara. I think it's very essential that we look into both the gaps in terms of the legislation and also in terms of implementation of the same. We'll go to Dr. Ravindranath now. But before that, a quick question to you, Lara. We have read that the shipping company or the Liberian state has said that they will not cooperate in terms of
conventions would be one important route. Of course, one would need to study the application. Use our waters, or in order to import and export, they have to abide by the international conventions that govern such trade. So there is number one is the international conventions, the second is the trade agreements. So we need to really look, and also the mobility, on international waters. So there are definitely places where the Indian government can actually push back. But it will have to be done, I'm sure, through the central government offices, through the ministry. And that is something that the Kerala government will have to, try and look at as an option. I think it's important to study this more, but definitely the conventions need to be invoked because they can't escape that kind of accountability.
Yeah, maybe Dr. Ravindranath, you would be the best person to share us about your own experience and how you made your government and shipping companies accountable in the Express Pearl case. Dr. Ravindranath is a co-founder of the CEJ, the Center for Environmental Justice, so it's part of the Friends of Earth Sri Lanka, and they have been fighting this case in bringing in accountability to the Singaporean carrier, if I'm right, on the destruction they have caused in the marine ecology of Sri Lanka, and also they have some major success in bringing compensation to the affected livelihood affected fisher people in the area. So we are all looking forward to learn from your experiences. How did you make some of these big companies accountable? What are the legislations? What are the demands you have put, and what are the successes you have? And to also help us formulate our own demands in the same. Over to you, Dr. Ravindranath.
Thank you, Manju, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. I think I am audible.
Yes, you're audible.
First of all, let me ask you questions because so that I can plan my speech in order to suit your situation, because there are different laws applicable to Sri Lanka, and there are different laws applicable when the incident took place in the territorial waters, and when the incident took place outside the territorial waters. According to what I have learned, this ship is owned by, or the flagged Liberian flagged ship, I think.
Yes.
That,
Yes,
that's
it's a Liberian flagship owned by MSC.
Or MSC, right. Then this incident took place beyond your territorial waters. Is that so?
No, in the territorial waters. It's near to the coast, 14 kilometers.
No, it is outside the territorial waters, but within the country.
Outside.
Yeah, I heard that it was 27 kilometers away from the coast.
Yeah. It is just outside the
Right.
territorial waters.
Then that actually makes quite different, makes the approach required by you all maybe sometimes quite different to the Sri Lankan approach, because Sri Lankan issue actually took place within the territorial waters, because the shipwreck or the incident or the disaster took place beyond 9.5 nautical miles beyond our coastal areas. Therefore, I think your approach and the laws applicable may be sometimes quite different, because some domestic laws may not be applicable in issues of this nature, taken into the context of your issue, because our issue, of course, all the domestic Express Pearl issue in Sri Lanka, all the domestic laws are applicable, because territorial waters are considered as the part of the country. Therefore, all laws relating to the criminal aspects, civil aspects, pollution aspects, and the damage compensation aspects are applicable when any incident took place in the territorial waters. So in our litigation, I will first describe our experience. We were the first to litigate after the Express Pearl incident took place. Actually, within 2 weeks, we filed a fundamental right application in the Supreme Court. And under the fundamental rights jurisdiction, our Supreme Court has even granted or decided to pay huge damages against the polluters. Even in previous cases, similar things has taken place. And under the Article 126 4 sub-article, under the Sri Lankan Constitution, the Supreme Court, the highest court of the country, has equitable and just an equitable jurisdiction to deal with and handle this type of issue. Therefore, our case basically was based on polluter pays principle, which is acceptable worldwide. Even in India, the polluter pays principle has applied by the Indian courts much better than the Sri Lankan courts. Therefore, I think I feel one of the basic legal principle that can be invoked in your issue is the polluter pays principle. But in order because although this did not took place within the territorial waters, the pollution which causes as a result of this shipwreck will be definitely affect or currently been actually even it has started already. Actually, it has effects on your territory, territorial waters, as well as seashore, as well as your marine species, marine creatures, and the coral reef. All these ill effects are there. Therefore, for all these ill effects, you can claim the damages. But there should be some guideline or some experts guide for the Supreme Court or the higher court to decide the amount of damages that can be paid. Therefore, what we did was we immediately make a request to the courts to appoint an expert committee, independent expert committee to assess the damage. That was successful, and our Marine Environmental Protection Agency appointed 40 experts containing of different aspects, disciplines, to assess the damage caused. I think that kind of approach, because when independent professors and experts assessing the damage, the court, there is no likelihood of court rejecting that type of a report or damage assessment. And even I can share our damage assessment reports prepared by our experts. They took into consideration various aspects, especially now as I am aware, there is a considerable plastic nurdle pollution as a result of this shipwreck, which you all are experiencing. Therefore, the ill effects of plastic nurdles and how long that those ill effects can be persist and existed, and how long the people and the shores and fauna and flora close to shore areas be affected as a result of these nurdle pellets is given by the experts. There are world actually there are some reports prepared internationally by world-renowned scientists with regard to the plastic pollution. Even I can share the reports and the way of assessing damage, assessing damage as a result of plastic pollution. We produced to the court those reports we have. I think we submitted about 5-6 reports prepared by international experts how plastic nurdles can affect the human beings, coastal ecosystem, coastal environment, and marine environment. All these things are there. Those things are very useful in assessing the damage. Even I think in Indian context, I think you may be also having Merchant Shipping Act, which is similar to the Sri Lanka civil liability and criminal liability. All these liabilities are very clearly explained. And sometimes there may be limitation of liability rules, but limitation of liability rules, be careful, because most of the limitation liability rules are applied only with regard to the oil pollution. So plastic nurdles or other chemical damages, in Sri Lankan law, there are no pollution. Actually, there is no limitation. And even as previous speaker very clearly pointed out, even International Oil Pollution Compensation Fund, you can access, even MAPOL enforcement, all these things you can use, and especially Indian Coast Guard Act, Indian Ports Act, and International Conventions of Civil Liability for Oil Pollution and Damage, and International Oil Pollution Compensation Fund. But all these, especially some funds and some laws are only in relation to oil pollution. But as I have observed, this pollution that we are talking of, oil pollution, but pollution relating to some dangerous goods or dangerous cargoes. Therefore, we have to use or get use of the provisions of the other international conventions. And first thing that we searched was whether the packing of the containers were done according to the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Codes, where if the dangerous goods are packed and transport, that has to be clearly looked into. Then we can prove the negligence of the shipper and the operator, right? If we can prove the negligence and the negligence of the shipper and the operator, it is very easy to court to decide that the shipper or the ship operator is the party who is responsible for the negligence. Even I don't know whether under the Indian law, whether the proving of fundamental right violation by the state authorities is a must. But then, of course, you also can do it very easily, because you can say that there is lack of preparedness, no chemical disaster contingency plan. I heard that there was a oil spill contingency plan which was in operation, and they started that, but I couldn't hear from any speaker that they commenced or they started the chemical disaster or other contingency plans other than the oil contingency plans. Therefore, that also can be treated as a failure of the government or state authorities. And even now, if it is remaining as a wreck, you have to seek the provisions or look into the provisions of the Nairobi Wreck Removal Convention and International Salvage Convention, and unclosed provisions, and LLMC Convention, MAPOL. There are a lot of conventions, and hazardous and noxious materials or noxious waste convention. There are a lot of conventions that we can get the maximum support of all these conventions. But the most important thing is, if you are filing a case, find out who are the insurer of the ship, who are the owners of the ship, who are the operators of the ship, who are the local agents of the ship, if there is any local agent. I don't know whether there is a local agent who is responsible for the operation of this voyage. If that is so, then in litigation, those are the important parties. In addition to that, the coastal guard and other the ports authorities and Director General of Merchant Shipping, and if possible harbor master, and those are the strategies that we applied, and the principle that we applied was the polluter pays principle, because there are some limitations of a filing case for the damages under the Presidential Commission to look into the malpractices actually took place in claiming compensation, because there are some international organizations which are funded by the insurance companies and the ship owners. You have to be very careful because they might come into the picture as independent experts and independent operators, but please be careful to check their sources and origins. Most of these international so-called independent scientific bodies are funded by ship operators or ship insurance companies. They will somehow or the other get hold of the state authorities and try to jeopardize the damage claims. I think my time is past. If you have any questions, I can
we will take a set of questions, and before that, sir, if you could also speak or tell us a little bit about how far you have been successful uh, uh, in your litigation in getting compensation. We know for sure that after the Express Pearl case is that IMO issued their guidelines on transportation of nodules, etc., etc. What have been some of the successes you could make? Maybe very briefly, and then we can take questions. We are
yeah,
little bit
because
extended out time.
so far insurance companies, especially ITOP and other related companies, they paid some claims of the government bodies which they have spent on beach cleaning, as well as they have the ship owner and their insurance companies paid some amount of some claims by the fisheries communities and especially as a part of the damage caused to the fisheries industry. But other damages so far, the ship owner has refused to pay other environmental damages and the other damages and damage due to nurdles or other damages caused to the marine environment. They have so far refused. That is why we had to claim those damages in the court or through the court by applying the polluter pays principle. Because if the civil movements and the civil society is filing a case according to the Sri Lankan law, it has to be under the polluter pays principle through a fundamental right case. But to claim the damages for this type of issue, it has to be instituted. The cases has to be instituted by the state. That means by Honorable Attorney General, which they have failed to do so within the even until the expiration of the prescription time period.
Thank you, Dr. Ravindranath. We have our next speaker, who is also the General Secretary of the World Forum of Fisher People, the international organization of fisher people, who have been heading the demands of fisher people, particularly the traditional the fishing community, on various issues affecting the livelihood of fisher people and also on the marine environment. Dr. Herman Kumara, if you could now speak on what would be the major demands of fisher people, given the fact that this is not just in India and Sri Lanka, the fisher people are facing some of the issues, including oil spill affecting the livelihood of the communities. What are the kind of prescriptions? What are the kind of discussions which WFFP would like to place before us in dealing with the same? Herman ji, can you hear me? Yeah.
Thank you, Maju. I know my camera is not working well, so it's unfortunate. Of course, I have two major things that I need to share with you. One is that the World Forum of Fisher People is now getting ready to the Conference of the Ocean Peoples.
Can't see you, Dr. Herman. We can't see you.
Can you see me?
I think there's some problem with Herman's camera. He had
My
said.
camera is having a problem. So sorry about that. Okay, Maju, I'll proceed, right? Okay,
Please
so
continue. You're
that is
audible.
one thing. Yes, yes. With that, we have very clear stand on the current situation, not only about the Kerala situation, but also overall the global situation of such cases, because mainly because of the blue economy regimes. At the same time, very particularly about this uh, plastic nurdles and plastic pollution of the oceans, which coming from Break Free from Plastic campaign, that group. So I caught from both the groups about my demands and the presentation here. So I would like to share the experience of this shipwreck at Kerala Sea is not a new phenomenon to fishing communities, though we demand all responsible culprits to bring to the court and compensate victimized coastal communities with the expense of the shipping companies concerned. We agree Kerala shipwreck is a serious devastation, even though after that incident there was another disaster reported in Alaska, close to Aleutian Island, the burning ship with 3,000 cars in the most recent disaster. As Mr. Dabare mentioned, the Sri Lankan case about the express pearl in year 2021, Sri Lankan communities face similar three incidents of ship burning, diamond pearl, express pearl, and shipwreck in western and eastern coast, and oil spill in southern coast, which devastated the coastal ecosystems, coral reefs in particular, coast and eventually adversely affected the coastal communities, pushing the fishing communities further vulnerability. The tons of hazardous chemicals and billions of plastic pellets were spread all along the western, southwestern, and northwestern coast and lagoons of Sri Lanka due to exosperl and others. So, maritime transportation is already a hazardous industry, as maritime transportation, construction of mega harbors, ports becoming a rapidly growing industry under blue economy regime. The ocean economy has several pillars of economic development, and as introduced in 2009, the maritime transportation is one of the main pillars of blue economy, which carries containers of millions of plastic needles or pellets and tons of hazardous chemicals. As a result, uh, because of these disasters, because of the marine pollution, concerned group like Break Free from Plastic campaign, around 140 organizations had adopted nice declaration which reflects a clear and overwhelming majority support for a treaty that addresses the full life cycle of plastic pollution, building on the growing political momentum that emerged at INC 5.1 in Busan. As report says, I quote, pollution from across the entire supply chain is degrading ecosystems, contaminating our soils, and harming human health and biodiversity. Nearly 30 million tons of plastic alone have poured into the oceans since negotiations began in 2022. A global response anchored in enforceable rules, not vague aspirations, is long overdue. The ambitious majority must translate their strength in numbers into action and prevent a majority of narrow interests from continuing to shift the costs of this crisis onto communities and ecosystems. The upcoming negotiations in Geneva must be a test of will, leadership, and our collective ability to harness effective multilateralism in a shifting geopolitical landscape. The credibility of this process and multilateralism boldly hinges on delivering the treaty that was promised. Anything less would be a betrayal of global trust. Again, I would like to go to the World Forum of Fisher People that we are trying to have a counter narratives, counter or parallel program of United Nations Ocean Conference, which will be held in next week in Nice, in France. And we, since 2022 and even before 2017, we are organizing the COP, Conference of the Peoples, and our boycott of the first UNOC in 2017, we are organizing this Conference of the Peoples second conference as a counter event to United Nations Ocean Conference, the third conference, to demand a halt to ocean grabbing, reiterating our commitment to the implementation of SSS guidelines and our fight for the food sovereignty of ocean peoples as a critical solution to pollution, ecosystem degradation, displacement, and dislocation of coastal communities, destruction of livelihoods, which brought through blue economy. We continue to affirm and declare our we continue to affirm and declare our commitment to the 5 R's that define as our core principles in our 2022 COP declaration in addressing or asserting our sovereignty and customary rights. We reject corporate-led false solution, 30 by 30 and mega blue economy proposals. We remind the world that the earth has been brought to its current disastrous state by corporations and their capitalist colonial greed. We resist the blue paradigms, demanding a global moratorium of blue economy policies and projects that are driving the extermination of our peoples. And we demand the recognition of ocean peoples as historical and traditional customary right holders over the oceans. And we demand restitution of ocean governance to our communities, calling for the redistribution of our marine resources and meritorious territories and for reparations for the not to harm oceans and communities, and reimagine our future within the oceans, waters, and coasts, healing, demanding, dreaming, and creating worlds of possibility for our oceans and life on Earth. To advance this political agenda, we are committed to working with those democratically structured UN bodies, where we are recognized as human rights holders with established mechanisms to participate in decision-making processes, including the UN Committee on World Food Security, CFS, the Food and Agriculture Organization, and the Committee on Fisheries, COFFEE, as well as the Human Rights Council and the Human Rights Treaty bodies. We are mobilizing using different strategies, including the historical and massive mobilizations of the ocean, water, and fisher peoples tribunals across the Indian Ocean countries in countries like Sri Lanka, India, Indonesia, Thailand, and Bangladesh, also in Brazil and South Africa. The Fisher Women Assemblies in India, and soon to be held in Thailand again, our emerging global campaigns against industrial aquaculture, sea and water level rise campaign in the COP30 during November in Brazil, and 30 by 30 among countless actions and resistance strategies. We express our commitment to the third Neolini Global Forum, which will take place in Sri Lanka, September 2025, working with small-scale food producers, indigenous peoples, pastoralists, food chain workers, urban, rural, and migrant laborers, feminist and climate justice movement to mobilize systematic transformation and advocate for social and solidarity economies. We extend this call for solidarity to build synergy with other global movements resisting corporate capture, colonial, capitalist, and patriarchal violence. We firmly stand with our victimized Kerala coastal communities and vulnerable fishing communities all over the world against this pollution of water bodies which led to destruction of livelihoods, destruction of ecosystems, which push the communities into poverty. We say the undemocratic blue economy regimes no more. Stop these blue regimes now. Thank you.
Thank you, Herman. I think it's high time that we all demand the full the treaty, the plastic treaty, and recognition of the treaty on the full life cycle of the plastic, and the accountability lies there. And I think that's something which resonates also with this shipwreck and the plastic pellet pollution. Thank you for also connecting into the wider framework, into the bigger canvas, where there needs to be a shift of power in the ocean governance in favor of the fishing communities, the traditional and customary rights to be taken care of. Before we open up this discussion, we are a little late. I think yeah, if we could possibly spend some 15-20 minutes more for questions, that would be great. But before doing that, I would like to invite the chairperson of the National Fish Workers Forum, who has been participating in this webinar from the beginning. We would like to hear from the chairperson of the National Fish Workers Forum and his thoughts on not just about the Kerala issue, but also how, as a fishing community, as a fishing people, how can we build solidarities and the way forward in taking some of these issues up, where we have to fill up with the need for legislations, the monitoring of legislations, as Lara had earlier pointed out. So, Ramakrishna ji, over to you. Ramakrishna ji?
Hello,
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
We can hear you, please.
So regarding the Kerala, that ship is on demolished, and that oil spill is hazardous. So we demand the CM Kerala to clean the ocean and give a compensation. So in earlier 2010, Chitra and Khalija, that ship oil spills was there, but no compensation yet to receive in Maharashtra, Mumbai. So we have to take action about that.
Thank you, Ramakrishna ji. I think that has been the two major debates. One is the cleanup and the responsibility of the shipping companies, and as Dr. Ravindranath pointed out, the principle of polluter having the responsibility to clean up the coast, which in this case have to be multiple, because one cleaning will not be enough as pellets wash ashore in a regular interval. So there has to be multiple levels of cleaning, multiple times of cleaning, and also compensation as a major demand, which has been emerging from the fishing communities, that has to be sharper, and also that whether the state and the national disaster funds could also be released for compensation of the people. So there are wider need for solidarity to change some of these disaster laws itself, because it doesn't recognize some of these disasters as disasters itself. With this, I would like to open up the discussion. You could either raise your hand, or you could put your question in the chat box.
Maju, we have given also the demand letter of PM also, Prime Minister.
Pardon?
We are also given the letter to Prime Minister also, PM also, Center.
Okay.
Regarding this.
Okay. Ramakrishna ji is saying that the National Fish Workers Forum has written to the Prime Minister regarding this incident. So I'd like to open up the discussion right now. So as I said, either we could write it in the chat, or put your hands up. Also request our colleagues, if I do not see a specific question or a hand being up, just to give me a heads up, so that we can have a discussion in this regard. We didn't have discussion after every presentation, so if there is a question, or a comment, you can come in now. Please be brief. I see Sister Mercy Matthews hand. Sister,
Yes. Hello.
yes, sister, please carry. Sister Mercy, you are muted.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much for organizing such a meeting, such a conference like in online, and widen our knowledge about all this. So when we listen to the speakers, it also arises a question that who will file the case and proceed, or who will ask the compensation and
Is there somebody who could
Yeah, I think there are
Lara?
no, I think there are both the aspects. One is what the state does as far as the compensation is concerned, and the second is the private actor's liability, right? In terms of the accountability, in terms of the liability of the private actor. Now, as far as the shipping laws are concerned, whether it is under the under the Merchant Shipping Act, or whether it is in terms of looking at the environmental laws and trying to invoke those laws, there is obviously there are governing instruments, especially the companies from outside, right? You have the convention, you have the agreement that they have entered into, which has which will have provisions of itself. You will have these domestic laws which one can apply. So I think the best way or best strategy can be decided by studying what exactly governs the company, what the agreement, what are the various what is the contingency plan in that particular port. All of these things can be specifically looked into in order to look at two aspects. One is a liability as far as the state in terms of neglecting or in terms of not having the response mechanism or not providing immediate sort of relief. And the second is in terms of the accountability of the company, who we have to hold accountable, like corporate accountability for business violation or for environmental violation. So that is the second aspect that one has to look into. Now here, of course, the communities itself can also launch cases. That is one way of doing it. But the second is the government can also decide to take action if the international cooperation does not exist, or if there has been a major flouting of the law. Now, these are things which are case specific, and some of these things need to be explored. But definitely the community has rights which they can invoke and they can litigate. And I understand that there is one litigation which is going on right now, which the High Court is currently hearing, where they have also asked for certain disclosures and they have passed certain directions. So understanding, what is the status of that litigation, and how can one put pressure on, holding the company liable, not just for the immediate impact of the disaster, but even the long-term impacts.
Thank you. That is true, that we, all those who are participating in this, and also the other expertise, we need to come together, and as early as possible we have to start the the formation of the question, or formation of the writ, or formation of the petition, and then we have to proceed. Thank you.
And just to add, much of this is strategic litigation, which we should also look at in terms of a long-term policy to be put in place, guidelines to be put into place, stronger contingency plans which can actually be implemented on ground. The response and disaster plans, how do we include this in policy? But policy itself is not enough, because even if we know we have so many policies which exist which are not being implemented either. So I think both of these aspects we will have to look into. And I would say that such strategic litigation also depends on looking at the case-specific aspects. So I also don't know the case as well, So once you study the case and understand the various aspects of it, I know as much as come in the news or what has come out through the statements that the groups have been releasing. So once you look at the case specific documents, one can arrive at that strategy.
There was a question by Anil, EP Anil, about when hazardous materials are oozed out, who is primarily responsible to clean out? Is there any legislation which governs that in terms of hazardous materials and waste? Who will examine the restoration?
One is generally the pollution control board comes in order to do much of this work. But apart from that, there is also a civil liability convention. Right now, we see that there are national oil disaster contingency plans, which are there, oil spill disaster contingency plans. In fact, that was the one which was invoked in Tamil Nadu also. And you also have the bunker, there's a bunker convention, which we call the bunker convention. Yeah. So that is also one which provides a liability. But most of the work of the, cleaning, monitoring and all of that comes under the Pollution Control Board. At least the Pollution Control Board in Maharashtra has been looking into these things along with the Indian Coast Guard.
Maju, in fact, I think that probably the coastal waters part, the responsibilities with the government of India, that means Navy and Coast Guard. But on the coastal part, once it reaches the beach and land part, it is the responsibility of the state. As it is mentioned, it is the State Pollution Control Board and the Disaster Management Authority. That is the states. They have to take the responsibility.
Yes. Comrade Maju.
Yes.
Kerala government has appointed a 3-member committee, bureaucrat committee, to discuss the terms and conditions of the compensation with the ship company. First. Second, Kerala government is appointed a scientific committee to assess the laws and other things, consisting of Dr. Kumara of Kerala Kufuor University and of CMFRI, one from CMFRI, one from SIFT, director of SIFT is appointed to count the laws. And the Pollution Control Board is also entered into this field. Other than that, we have a Fisheries Coordination Committee appointed, is working here in Kerala, consisting of 11 trade union leaders, including your organization. That means NFF is also a part of that coordination committee. Its chairman is Comrade T.N. Prathapan. He is a Congress leader. He appointed the High Court also. And he told me that today itself, he told me that you may also, you know more things than me, so you may also include as a impleading to the case. So, and I given a letter to Chief Minister in which I cited some things that what is the prior incident. In 1993, Briar issue, shipwrecking. And in 1926, Philippine Solar first couple wreckage. And France Lorient, 1918 issue. And in these cases, the couple companies, that vessel companies are given compensation. And we are cited in the meeting with the Fishery Ministry itself that International Maritime Organization has its provision that it reads Marpol Convention in its Annexure 1. It consider with this oil spillage, and Annexure 2. It consider with chemical pollution. And we should approach these things also. And the issue of Bunker Convention, we are raised to the representative Chief Minister. Bunker Convention, SOLAS Convention, and the laws of container losses, and 1997 laws, 1986 88 Suva Convention, and 2001 Fund Convention, and all these conventions I cited in my representative Chief Minister. And Comrade T.N. Prathapan told me that you please also intervene in this case or implement in this case. And I discussed with my uh, uh, advocate this day itself. And if it is decided, we will approach the court, not as a person or as an organization. We are approaching the court now itself as the coordination committee people. So I think we must have a policy is needed. There is no policy about it. A policy is to be redrafted for this purpose. One. Second is that in 1 year ago, there is a huge loss of what happened in Elur. At that time, we convened a committee, and myself was the convener, and Dr. Mausudina Kurup of that former VC was the chairman. That committee presented a report to the government. It counted that 34 crore rupees loss was happened there. Nothing is done by the government of Kerala. No single penny is given to us. This is a disaster thing. This is more than disaster. All these things are happened here. In Kerala, we cannot get a single money from the government. We are not expecting this thing. But I think we should, as a whole, we should approach the court for this compensation and other things.
Yes, I think it's also the shipping company which has to be made accountable, who was responsible for the spillage and the destruction on one hand.
In fact, accountability, we are talking about the accountability, but not alone shipping company. As it was mentioned by Mr. Ravindranath, the package, how the package was, whether it is as per the norms, and also the port, the court of last port, whether they have followed all the conventions and rules and laws. That has to be done. And also, they have a responsibility to deal with the pollution within the port notified area. That is their responsibility also. That also we should not forget. And as far as the fish in the coastal waters is concerned, the state government has a stake. So something happening to the fish and fisheries people, fishermen, the state government has a stake that they should take up.
One more experience, sir. Last decade itself, a thing was sunken down. In 2000, then around that time, that the amount of the vessel is that of $163 million, but they paid $2 billion as compensation. That is rare experience we have also. That was happening in developed nation. In this country, even though we claim that we are a fourth economy, there is nothing should happen. My assumption is that nothing should happen here, because we have a politically oriented, motivated people. So the LDF people done nothing toward these things. Okay.
We have exceeded the time. Do we have more questions to be raised? I think the webinar as a whole has thrown up very many issues and also have thrown up various aspects related to the incident, the lack of loss, the need for implementation of the laws, compensation for the fishing communities, how to deal with the long-term and strategic impact, the long-term impact on the marine ecology, the accountability of various actors from state to port to that of the state, the port, and the company. All of them are there. The disaster management authority, the need for to have proper policies in place, particularly oil spillage plans, contingency plans at various levels, where the State Pollution Control Board and Disaster Management Authority, the need for cleanups, which is of an immediate and immediate need, which needs to be done in all the coast. It is not just a one-time one, but a multiple one, which needs to be a continuous process till the plastics are dealt with. Yes.
Maju, ഒരു പോയിന്റ് ഉന്നയിക്കട്ടെ ഞാൻ.
Valerian Chetan. Valerian Chetan is the district president of the union here in Trivandrum. So Valerian Chetan wants to speak something. Yes.
ഞാന് നമ്മുടെ ചാൾസ് ചേട്ടൻ ഈ ഇതിലുള്ളത് കൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാൻ ഉന്നയിക്കാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. കാരണം ചാൾസ് ചേട്ടൻ നമ്മുടെ കോർഡിനേഷൻ കമ്മിറ്റിയുടെ ചെയർമാൻ എന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് ചാൾസ് ചേട്ടന്റെ പോയിന്റുകളൊക്കെ ഞാൻ കേട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. പക്ഷേ ചാൾസ് ചേട്ടൻ ഒരു കാര്യം മനസ്സിലാക്കുക, നമ്മൾ കോടതിയിലേക്ക് പോകുന്ന കേസിന്റെ വഴിക്ക് പോട്ടെ. നമ്മൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ 2 മാസം മുമ്പ് എന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മാർച്ച് 27-ാം തീയതി കേരളമൊട്ടാകെ നടത്തിയൊരു വലിയൊരു സമരമുണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ കടൽ ഖനനത്തിനെതിരെയായിട്ട്. അത് കേരള സർക്കാരിനും കേന്ദ്ര സർക്കാരിനും ബോധിപ്പിച്ച വലിയൊരു സമരമായിരുന്നു. ചേട്ടാ, ചേട്ടാ, ഞാനൊരു മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി എന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് പറയാൻ പോകുന്നത്, നമ്മള് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് കേരളത്തിൽ ശക്തമായിട്ട് ഒത്തൊരുമിച്ച് നിന്നുകൊണ്ട് മുന്നോട്ട് പോയാൽ മാത്രമേ ഈ കേസിന്റെ വഴിയിൽ വിജയം കണ്ടെത്തുകയുള്ളൂ, നമുക്ക് കിട്ടേണ്ട നഷ്ടപരിഹാരം കിട്ടുകയുള്ളൂ. ഇപ്പോൾ വലിയ പ്രതിസന്ധിയിലേക്ക് കടന്നു പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ കോർഡിനേഷൻ കമ്മിറ്റിയുടെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ ഒരു കമ്മിറ്റി അടിയന്തരമായിട്ട് വിളിച്ചു കൂട്ടിക്കൊണ്ട് കേരളത്തിൽ അതിശക്തമായിട്ടുള്ള സമരത്തിന് രൂപം കൊടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് കേരളത്തിലുള്ള മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളികൾ ഒത്തൊരുമിച്ച് നിന്നാൽ ഇതിന് എവിടെ വേണമെങ്കിലും നമ്മൾ വിജയത്തിൽ പോകാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ടെന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. അല്ലാതെ കേസിന്റെ വഴി നടക്കട്ടെ, നമുക്ക് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ഇവിടെ സമരത്തിന് രൂപം കൊടുക്കുക. എന്തെങ്കിലും നമ്മളിവിടെ ഈ കേരളത്തിലുള്ള മത്സ്യത്തൊഴിലാളി ഒന്നടങ്കം ഇതിന് മുന്നോട്ടിറങ്ങിയാൽ മാത്രമേ ഇതിനൊരു വിജയം കണ്ടെത്തൂ എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുക. കാരണം ഇതിലൂടെ എല്ലാവരും പറയുന്ന ഇതാണ്, പല കേസുകളും നിസ്സാരമായി പോയെന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ അങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ ഇവിടെ സാധ്യതയല്ല. ഇത് ഇവിടെ ശക്തമായിട്ട് മുന്നോട്ട് പോകണം. എല്ലാവരും ഒത്തൊരുമിച്ച് നിന്നുകൊണ്ട് ഇവിടെ നിരോധനം ഏർപ്പെടുത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് കടൽ നിരോധനം അതിശക്തമായിട്ടുള്ള സമരത്തിന് രൂപം കൊടുക്കുക. ഇത്ര മാത്രമേ എനിക്ക് പറയാം. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ചാൾസ് പറയാനുള്ളത്. ഓക്കെ.
I will just give a quick translation. I think the translation is also coming in the chat. In Kerala coast, we have seen a massive agitation of the fishing community against the offshore sea mining, which was taken note of at various levels. And Valerian Chetan thinks, because Charles George is also in this meeting, that the Fisheries Coordination Committee should initiate a process by which there should be a political action by the fisher community as a whole. While we can deal with the court cases in the court, the immediate thing which we need to do as fishing communities is to come out into the streets and have a political action which would raise our demands for compensation. Yeah. See, just checking whether there are more questions in the chat box. If there are any more questions to any of the any other speakers, we can raise it. Dr. Ravindranath had discussed about the assessment which needs to be done. We can get in touch with him and also understand how they have done the process and share it with the communities here. With this, can we wrap this session, this webinar? I would like to invite Priya for saying the vote of thanks. Priya, you want to conclude the session and give the vote of thanks?
Well, thank you, Maju. There's nothing more to say in terms of conclusion, but I think a lot of points have come.
Just concluding.
Yeah. From all the speakers, and many informative and also some of which is also showing way forwards, and I hope some of our leaders who are here, can pick it up, and then we can take this forward, and that would be good. And I really hope that this is not a one-off webinar also, that we can have periodical, information and webinars like this on different aspects of the course. Like we also see a lot of, engagements happening on multiple things, but not as much, happening on the issue of fishers and oceans and the coast. And currently with, as some people pointed out, with the mining coming up and, MSP and all of the blue projects, the entire blue gamut of things that Herman had pointed out. So we have a lot more to kind of look into. And yes, do you have a mailing list? Yeah, I can just give you my email ID. Sorry. So you can write to this email ID if you want to be part of it, and we can engage in further interventions. And I think on 8th and 9th, there is also an Oceans Conference that is coming up. So we hope you will all be part of that also. So have a good night, and thank you so much for staying on this late.